Power steering in a Highboy. This is a question I get a lot. Now, here at Classic Crew Cabs, we focus on, well, crew cabs. So we're going to be going over 3 crew cab Highboys today, and we're going to be talking about 5 different ways to convert to power steering. If the truck doesn't have power steering, one of those ways is to take the power steering from the 73 and up Highboys and move it over to an older version, but we'll talk about that. So here in the 68, we have the Stearman Cycle electric power steering. We'll go over them each in detail here in a bit. The 76, right here, crew cab, we have the factory power assist with the control mechanism and the power assist ram. And here in my daily driver 71, I've got the 2-wheel drive box from like late 60s to basically late 70s. It's a 3-bolt box that hooks onto the frame with an adapter plate, so you don't have to cut the frame. The 4th style that we'll talk about is using the 78, 79, F250 and F350 4-wheel drive, and that you do cut the frame and box the frame in, and I'm not a big fan of that simply because you have to cut the frame and box the frame. And the majority of trucks we work on, take for example this 1968 factory 4-wheel drive crew cab, there's about 100 built, maybe 120, nobody really knows. Official numbers came out at 119 from Marty Report, and then they kicked those numbers back because they found a couple extra that weren't included in that number, but it's somewhere pretty close to that. So in my opinion, if you've got a truck where only 120 of them were built, you're not going to want to cut the frame up. So there's other ways to go about it, and we're going to talk about those today. All right, let's start off with the 1968 factory 4-wheel drive crew cab. We put the Stearman Cycle in this. You can visit the website, stearmancycle.com, I believe. I really like it. They come with all the hardware to adapt to the factory column. There's no cutting or welding needed. It attaches to the factory motor mount bolt holes. All the hardware is included, like I said. And so long as your manual steering box is good, it plugs right into your manual steering box, and you can be off to the races with power steering. Our particular install, we customized it a little bit, so we didn't have to cut any additional holes into the firewall. Like I said, on this truck, there's only about 120 of them made. Why go drilling holes where you don't need to drill holes? So we routed all the power over to the appropriate spots, and we are able to utilize current or existing firewall penetrations and route our power through there. And if you go in here, now this truck is going to get a full frame off restoration at some point, so please, this is not a indicator of our work, but we ended up mounting the box up there. I don't know if you can see it. There it is. The Stearman box is right there, that black box. And then it's got a adjustment for sensitivity. And someone had already put a toggle switch on the steering column, little hood thing right there. So we went ahead and put it there. We put it on this just as a proof of concept, even though this truck will be undergoing a full frame off restoration at some point. We figured, you know, I want to try this thing out. I want to drive it a little while, see what else we want to put it on. So there's the Stearman Cycle. It works great, even with these super lugs on there. At a standstill, I'd say the hydraulic system's probably better, but the second you get moving, the Stearman Cycle system works very, very well. It's responsive. You can feel the road. It's not overpowered, and you could turn up and down the sensitivity with that little dial. So let's move on to the next. Here's a 1976 factory 4-wheel drive crew cab. Now this has the factory power steering, which was really a power assist. So it utilizes the manual steering box as the earlier trucks did, but what it does is it has a control module in here that's actuated by pressure, and then it has a assist valve down here, or assist ram down here, that you can see. Now, these things, some people will say, weren't all that great to begin with, but I don't mind it so much, other than they're expensive to rebuild, and anything you find in a parts truck is probably gonna leak, as it does in this case. It works, but as you can see, it's kind of sweating. The ram down here leaks, but it does an all right job. I went ahead and put a Saginaw style box on it, but it does okay. I wouldn't necessarily say, I wouldn't necessarily put this on, let's say, a truck that didn't have power steering, but you could, and a lot of guys do, because it transfers over to these trucks pretty well without cutting or modification. But they are expensive. You could probably spend, you know, in current day market, $1,000 to $1,500 just on the parts. And then you're gonna have, you know, an outdated system, but it is an option. All right, here's my daily driver. I've been daily driving this for, I don't know, 4 years. I got asked today, how many miles do you put on it? I'm guessing probably 30,000. Okay, side note, we just installed air conditioning on this truck and it's awesome. But this is what I call my proof of concept truck, right? Anything we want to start doing here and adopting widely at Classic Crew Cabs, I'm gonna kind of do to this truck. So air conditioning is one of the features we're gonna be putting on, I would say, the vast majority of our builds, certainly any frame offs or resto mods we do, but so I wanted to put it on here and test it out. So this one has the late 60s to 70s 2-wheel drive 3-bolt box. I like the system. It's powerful, it's responsive. What I don't like is the way it stands off from the frame. You had to notch out the radiator bracket and the fan shroud. I did not do the installation of this. I bought the truck like this. The other thing I don't like is someone had to cut the fender well to get it in there. But what I really like about this is it adds hydraulic power steering without having to modify the Highboy frame. The one that I was talking about, where it uses the 4-bolt from the 78, 79, goes in the same position as this, but what happens is you have to cut this off. You have to cut part of the engine cross member, and you've got to box it all in. And like I said, on these early trucks, like this is a 71, they built 520 of them or something like that in 71 factory 4-wheel drive crew cabs. I'm not the type of guy to be cutting that stuff up. You know, I'm just not. So I like this option. It's minimally invasive and it's responsive, and the parts are cheap. I think there's companies out there that sell the whole kit with rebuilt power steering pump, box, bracket, and everything for like $700 or $800. So I like it. It's nice. Now, the 5th kit, which I mentioned early in the video, we'll go over. It's a kit that I just found on eBay. A lot of people have been asking me if I like it or not, and to be honest, I don't know, because I've never installed it. So we went ahead and bought one. I'm going to talk about that next. All right, here's the 5th kit that I'm going to try, and I'll probably post a whole nother video with the installation process, and I'll most likely do it to the 76 Highboy crew cab over there that we talked about, that has the factory style for the 1976, that power assist. I need to buy a new RAM on that, and the rebuilt RAMs are $400 or $500. Probably could use another control module. Those are, again, $400 or $500, and you get this whole kit on eBay for under $1,000. So I really like it in theory because it has this plate that bolts up, these 3 bolts bolt up to the factory Highboy position. And it's got these 6 beveled screws that go into the box and clock it the right way. And then the pitman arm shaft goes through the factory hole where the factory pitman arm would come with, or would go. And so it's got the instructions. It comes with the U-joint to adapt to the box. They say you should be able to use your current steering shaft. We'll see. But pitman arm and a bag of accessories. So we'll find out if this is any good or not. And stay tuned to my channel to explore that later on. But hope you enjoyed this video on the different options of power steering for Highboys. And yeah, talk to you soon.